Hi, this is guitarist Denis Taaffe, and I'm in my home studio, and I want to welcome you to Bargain Bin Gear. And this time we're going to take a look at the GFI Specular Tempus. Now, price of this pedal, it's a delay reverb pedal with fantastic delays and reverbs. And the price is $349. Okay, and when you compare that to something like an H9, right, Eventide H9, or, some of the, Big Sky reverb or that kind of thing, and then add a delay pedal to that, like some of the Strymon pedals, we're talking $800, $900, almost $1,000, and these are new prices, used maybe $600, $700. So this pedal, new, is $349, and so, when I heard it, I was like, oh, wow, this is really fantastic. It has fantastic reverbs and delays and things. And software editor and MIDI. As far as the pedal goes, it is very well thought out. Very well laid out. There are no shortcomings, really. And the MIDI editor is great as well. Now, with that being said, there were a couple things I noticed, and one is that it is very similar in a lot of ways to the Eventide H9, as far as reverbs and delays and things. However, I do think the Eventides sound a little better. Not, you'd be hard pressed to notice, really. But as far as delays and things, now granted, I've had the Eventides for quite a while, so I'm pretty familiar with them, and I've worked out some really good presets, and I haven't done that really on the Tempus, Specular Tempus. And I went ahead and, it was hard to get. I had to pre-order it and everything. And, when you get a new pedal, should be all excited. But for me, it was kind of a underwhelming experience. And I think that's just because it's so similar, Now, if I didn't have the Eventide pedals, the H9s, I would, this pedal would be awesome, okay? And the sounds you get are awesome, especially, obviously, the reverb sounds. But I had to question, is it worth it for me for the price, when I already have something very similar, And I will say the quality of the sound is just great on the Specular Tempus. Very smooth kind of sound. Almost like a finishing touch type of thing. What's a good way to describe it? Okay, have you ever been to a car wash, and you spray the thing at the very end, they put this little, tiny wax on it or something. It's kind of like that. Just has this real nice, detailed thing. Now, here's something that I did not know, and I'm not sure if you can hear it because my computer is quite noisy. It's got a fan in it. I should really get it out of here. But it's noisy. And I would have never guessed that. And when I say noisy, I mean the kind of computer hiss sound. Now, it's possible it could be a cable. Possibly. You know. But here, I have it on right now, and you can hear it. You hear that? Now here, of course, it's exaggerated because I've turned the amp up. You know. But take a listen to that. Right? And I bypass it. Listen to that. Yeah, you can hear it. It's not cool. You know, disabled one of the pedals, see if that, or one of the cables, see if that makes a difference, but no. So I'm sorry, that's noisy. You know, I don't get it. And the strange thing is, I avoided buying a used one for this exact reason, is that they said it was noisy. And now I'm hearing it. Another cable. Now here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go through my pedal board, take the pedal out of the equation. Let's see what happens. Okay. Now I've got the amp at the same volume, right? And I can still hear a little bit of white noise, but not like when I had the pedal in line, you know. Because the H9 is not silent. You know, it's pretty good though. But you can definitely hear that, you know, hiss. And I mean, I'm using, you know, decent cables and a Voodoo Labs digital isolated power supply, so I don't think that's the issue. And I mean, I just turned on a Synth 9, you know, synth pedal, and take a look. Listen, it's silent. So there, I don't even have the guitar cable plugged in. Listen to that. Okay, well, I just discovered what the problem was. And the problem was I had the USB cable plugged in. And once you do that... Now, I had a problem with the Specular Tempus as far as the noise goes. But, here's what I discovered. Should have known. I had the USB... cable plugged into the software, or into the pedal, so that I could access, you know, the software editor. Well, that creates this kind of white hiss computer noise that we heard earlier. So definitely take that out, you know, if you're having a noise problem, because that's the offender. Alright, it's not your cables or your setup usually. Okay, so I've got it here, I've got it hooked up. Alright, and let's compare that to the H9. And this is just a preset on the H9 reverb. Yeah, see, it gives you that kind of... Another H9 preset. Now here's both together. Specular Tempus there. And we can create huge reverbs. Taking the reverb down, and this is one called an infinity reverb. Those are really stunning. I've turned the decay down a little bit. Now here's another one. This is a factory preset. That's the swell setting. Here's one, it's modulated, it says. Let's turn on a synthesizer pedal. Okay, get kind of that. Okay, so this is a new pedal for me, and it seems lately that, you know, I'm pretty used to my setup, and any variations on that, especially new pedals, makes me very leery. You know, can it work in my system and that kind of thing. And I have to say, the Specular Tempus, man, when I had the USB cable plugged into the pedal, I was like, what is this? This is terrible. Right, all this noise. Right, from the pedal, I didn't even have my guitar plugged in. And I was like, oh no, this is a terrible pedal. And of course, I unplugged the USB cable. Right? But before I had discovered that, of course, I had called the company that sold it to me and said, man, this thing's terrible, I want to return it. You know? I've done that for 2 pedals in a row, and I don't know what it is. You know? Of course, you know, the very next day when I discovered that it was the USB cable, I was like, wait, this pedal's freaking awesome. It's amazing. I'm keeping it. You know? Man, I'm starting to feel like, you know, the boy who cried wolf or whatever. You know? Okay, here are my thoughts on the Specular Tempus. At first I was a little leery. Same kind of thing, almost like that with the Marizenzo. The sound is spectacular. I mean, there's no question about it. And you know, it's a reverb pedal, but it has digital delays as well, and they're very interesting. And this is the one thing that you have to know about GFI system there in the Philippines, right? And I think that's correct. In any case, this is such a well laid out pedal. You know, the construction's good, very well set up. It even, you know, on the little screen, you know, says, okay, hit this button to activate such and such. In other words, it tries to help you. The software is great, except when you hook up the USB cable to it, it makes noise. Okay, I can live with that. You know, it's very interesting because I had a similar problem with the Eventide H9. I'm going, what's going on here? It's not, you know, I couldn't update the pedal for a new algorithm, and I finally realized, oh wait, I have the MIDI control hooked up to it. You know, and once I unplugged it, then it worked fine. you know, just to do the update and then replug it. You know, and I finally learned that so that the next time around I didn't have to go through that and figure out, well, what's going on? Is my pedal broken or something? So this was kind of the same thing with a USB cable. But the software is really well laid out as well. Yeah, it's just... and I mean, I can really see how well thought out it is, you know. The software and the pedal itself. Okay, second thing of all, I thought it was similar to the H9, but that would be incorrect because, let me tell you, the H9, I love that pedal. I mean, it's really great. Eventide, you know, just hit a home run with that pedal. It's just fantastic. But what I noticed is either the space algorithm, you know, the reverb algorithms in there are great, but they're different. And they're a little bit similar to the Specular Tempus, but the Specular Tempus does a whole other thing. These massive reverbs, you know, massive yet controlled, which is more than you could ask, you know. It doesn't go out of control and that kind of thing. I mean, even when you set the decay, you know, at 99, which is like a huge, you know, never-ending thing, even that doesn't really go out of control. The H9 does totally different reverbs, and they're absolutely not the same at all. And the other thing is, the Specular Tempus is quite simple, you know, to set up presets and things, and you know, to get a real nice reverb sound. On the H9, I found it's a lot more difficult, you know, and for that very reason, the Specular Tempus is definitely a good pairing with the H9. And the H9, I mean, don't get me wrong, it does great reverb sounds as well. But you just have to work with it a lot more, you know, to try to match the sounds of the Specular Tempus. And I'm sure it can come pretty close, but it does different stuff. And it's a different sound on there. So I was really, you know, incorrect, I think, in saying, oh, well, the H9, you know, sounds better and it's so similar. That's not quite accurate. I think I should redo that statement, because it really is a totally different thing, you know, and it's really fantastic because it's a whole other world unto itself, you know, the H9 reverb capabilities, you know. It's a different type of sound. So, with that in mind, the fact that the Specular Tempus has these amazing reverbs, and the other things it does are great too. I mean, the shimmer thing and the pitch shifter in it as well. Now the H9 has pitch shifting capabilities, but that's a whole other thing too. You know, I mean, it's almost like can do arpeggiated type things, and you know, but it's different. I mean, that's the best word I can describe it as. Just different sounds. And then on top of the Specular Tempus, you know, when the fact that you add the delays on there, Now, the one thing I did notice when you use just the digital delays, I mean, there are some that combine the digital delay and reverb together, and sometimes it's just digital delay. And I suppose the H9, has algorithms that have delay and reverb, or just delay as well. And they sound different. So, with that in mind, but I can't really say that they're that similar, So the Specular Tempus is just incredible as far as reverb and delays. And it really wasn't until I recorded with it, right? I did and I'll put it at the end of this video. That's what I'll do. Maybe not the whole track, but at least part of it, so you can hear what it sounds like. I've only done one preset that I created on the Specular Tempus, so it's very, very new to me, this pedal. But I did something I call a preset Frizzle Solo, or Frizzell Solo, whatever. Bill Frizzell, I don't know if you're familiar with him, he's a guitarist. And it reminded me of his kind of sound, a lot of times. He uses deluxe reverbs, a real clean kind of sound. And it reminded me very much of that, and it was very easy with this pedal, to get that sound. I think it'd be a lot harder on the H9. It could probably be done, don't get me wrong, but it was just a joy to work with. And some of those reverb sounds, are just spectacular. Highly recommended pedal. Now that I've played with it and solved my noise issue, and that's the thing, like all new pedals, I was a little leery. What is this pedal? Is it good? Is it bad? Well, now I know that it's fantastic and definitely will find a place on my pedal board for sure. So, I'll put that track that I recorded for a future album. I think that'll probably end up on volume 352, I think that's right, yeah. And it's just a track I did, with a miscellaneous sound. Oh, the other thing is, if you have a synthesizer or a synth pedal, they benefit a lot from massive reverbs, right? To give you that real airy kind of synth sound. And for that, the Specular Tempus is just perfect for that. Because it takes a lot of horsepower, processing power, to create, massive reverbs and sounds. And this is just part one of the video. So this is my initial impression of the pedal, if you like. I've certainly not worked with it enough, to give it a better account of the sound and that kind of thing. But initially, it's like, wow. And to think of the price, that this is while it seems expensive, I read a Sound on Sound review of it, and they said, it can run with the big boys. And what he meant by that is, be in the same league sonically as something like the Strymon, the Eventide. I think these are very, very expensive pedals. I mean, we're talking, $700-800, and, if you're adding a digilay and a reverb, you can almost double that. So to have this in a little pedal that, $349 new is astonishing, especially for the sound quality. And, I've seen other reviews where they call it the king of the reverb pedals. And I hate to say it, but I do, and I think I agree with that, because it's just, they're stunning. Really stunning and huge. Really huge. Certainly as good as, rack-mounted reverb units and delays as well. So this would definitely be worthwhile, as far as the pedal goes. And they're kind of hard to get. Maybe because it's just a new pedal. For example, I had to put find a dealer, who could get them, first of all. And then on top of that, I had to pre-order it, right? Because it hadn't arrived. They didn't have any. In fact, no one had any. Now, of course, we've got a couple vultures here and there, right, who've got a used one, and I think the worst case was the one who's selling for like $700 on eBay, total scam. But I guess for people, money is no object, and and they want the pedal now, and there are none other available. Well, they're willing to pay that price. But for most sane people, I think $700-800 is a little excessive. So there you go. So I would definitely, if you want one now, maybe because it was just new, now they're available all over. I'm not sure. Ever since I pre-ordered mine, I didn't really look to see if there were others. But as far as a quality pedal, I mean, this is, without question, one of the finest pedals, there is. It really is, without question, when they say studio quality, well, this is studio quality without a doubt. Definitely, it really is on the level of a pro guitar pedal, so highly recommended. And I'm going to do a part 2 on this pedal, because here, I've barely scratched the surface, and just haven't had it long enough to, to really know it, know its capabilities. But what I've tried so far has been incredible, sound quality-wise. So highly, highly, highly recommended. And for the price, it's a real bargain in comparison, to a Strymon, a similar Strymon setup, or, Strymon pedal setup, or even Eventide. However, I noticed too, they do different sounds, now, and I read where people say, oh, well, yeah, but the H9 does more. True. It does, but, they're different. The sounds are different, especially on the reverb end of things, and I love the delays on the Eventide, and I'm sure like the delays on the Specular Tempus. Though I would say, if you're looking for a delay pedal, straight delay pedal, to me the Specular Tempus is kind of more of a reverb pedal, though it does do delays as well, and the delays are very good. And because they're well thought out, it's easy to play with subdivisions timing-wise, from quarter notes, dotted eighth notes, triplets, and that kind of thing, And that's the thing I also noticed, is that a normal reverb and delay pedal, you can turn up to the maximum and that kind of thing. And the Specular Tempus, the minimum settings are usually the maximum on the other pedals, and then going up from there further, is quite astounding. And some of the sounds are just unbelievable. You can make it sound like a guitar synthesizer pedal without using a guitar synthesizer pedal, among other things. It has a swell function, and I said swell in the video, and I don't mean like, oh, this is really good, this is swell. That's not what I mean. I mean swell as in, you hit a note, and usually, I had to turn up, hit the note, and then turn up the volume so you don't hear the pick attack, right? And that gives you kind of a swell sound, almost like a synthesizer type of sound. Well, this pedal has a swell function, and it's astounding, because it really works. Usually they have the auto swell type things, and you hit one note and it swells, you don't hear the pick attack. But then you hit another note, and guess what? There's a pick attack. Well, not on this pedal. When they say swell, they mean it. Every note is swelled, which is a really, really cool thing. So that'll be something I'll be playing with for sure. So I'm going to set up some presets and hook it up to MIDI and that kind of thing in future videos. So we'll do a part 2 and maybe more than that. So I've got quite a few videos out there that are part 1, and then part 2, part 3, part 4. So, but I need a little time to do that. To work with it, really get to know it a little better, and create the presets and so on. Alright, very good. So this has been part 1 of the GFI Systems Specular Tempus. Highly recommended. Alright, see you next time. Bye.